Hey everyone, welcome back to EE504. This week we're looking at orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. So orthogonal frequency division multiplexing, or OFDM for short, is an enabling technology that is the backbone of many things that we're familiar with, such as Wi-Fi, LTE. So we took a look at digital modulation schemes in the previous week, and this was actually with a single carrier, right? So that BPSK, QPSK, they all use a single carrier. What orthogonal frequency, like OFDM signals, they use multiple carriers to exploit as much of that bandwidth that we have. And so the whole idea is we take, you know, we have one signal here and we space it out in time, 1 over t, and this allows us to get these orthogonal frequencies, right? So at these um, where the signals overlap here, is kind of like this deadband, and we're able to transmit more information in a much more compact space here by introducing these orthogonal frequencies. And so again, these are multiple carriers that are actually carrying the data. So then if we take a look here, so I've got just some like underlying equations, that any good textbook would have. But the whole idea is we're using this fast Fourier transform and inverse fast Fourier transform, right? So these are computationally efficient algorithms that are used in order to construct an OFDM signal. And so here we have, you know, the inverse discrete Fourier transform, and here's the process to perform this OFDM modulation. So we take our data packet of some length n, and we convert it into this parallel stream. And then from there, we perform this inverse Fourier, fast Fourier transform, and then we convert the parallel stream back into serial so that we can send it out the antenna, right? So this part here, where we're taking our data, so I've got a Simulink model here to show this whole process, right? So um, generally speaking, you can use any kind of modulation technique on the carriers that are, you know, that you're using to send out the data. In this case, I'm using BPSK, but you could also use QPSK. So I'm taking a number, right? And so this week I wanted to make it kind of short because I understand you guys are also looking at the Lime SDR concurrently, so I don't want to have this experiment take too long. So I've got this random integer generator with a set size of 2, right? So it's just generating zeros or 1 randomly. And I'm modulating that with this BPSK modulator. And then what I'm doing, right, is I'm converting this serial data stream into a parallel stream. Uh, and then I'm taking this inverse fast Fourier transform, and then I'm passing it through the channel. And so this whole section here, this is actually our OFDM. Well, actually, this part here mostly. This is our OFDM modulator, right? So this is, you could argue that this is also part of it, but you can use different types of digital modulation schemes before here, so kind of hard to argue that. So that's the first part. We go through the channel and then we demodulate it. So we just kind of reverse the whole process here, right? So I'm taking the fast Fourier transform, and then I have this block that's selecting the rows, right? So it's transforming that data, right? And so this is going to be kind of like 4 by 1 coming in, and I'm spitting out this row vector here, right? So this is in fact serializing the data. And then I'm passing that through this BPSK modulator, or demodulator rather. And then we can take a look at the error rate. constellation diagrams and also the spectrum this time. So here I've got, well, actually it's not running quite yet, but I'll run it here. And so on the right here, we've got the spectrum, right? So in yellow is before the AWN channel, and you can kind of see the reference constellation followed by, some other different pattern here. And so this other pattern is just due to those other, um, other signals that are present in the OFDM signal. Um, and you'll also note that I'm injecting zeros here. And so what these zeros are doing is they're acting as a guard band, right? So they're in effect trying to prevent any kind of like leakage signal coming in from these two data channels that I've got. And so here we can see the spectrum analyzer, and this is due to a channel with variance 0.01. And as you can see right now, my error rate is 0. If I kick that up a little bit, right? And so let's just take a look back here, and you'll notice that the transmitted spectrum, very deep notches here at these frequencies, while the received spectrum, you can kind of see that the notches are starting to disappear. And so this is in effect giving our signal to noise ratio kind of like a visual sense. So if I kick the variance up, you can watch as that noise floor kind of goes up. And so in the constellation diagram, the this received signal is much more spread out, much like we observed in previous lab on digital modulation schemes. And as you can see, the error rate has not gone up at all, so it looks like I'm still within a reasonable amount of variance here. If I kick this up even further, again, you can see this, noise artifact go up, and this received constellation is very bad. And hopefully, yeah, so we can see that my error rate is starting to skyrocket. I've already compared 1 million things, and it looks like it's already going up pretty fast. So well, I guess that's for the second part of this little experiment here. For the first part, I just figured it would be a good idea to take a look at the Wi-Fi standard. So if we go to this reference, oh, I guess it's not clickable there. I'll fix that. So then this should be clickable. So here's that Wi-Fi standard, and as you can see, I think it says, yeah, so you can see that they use this OFDM modulation scheme. And so this standard was approved in 1999, but it's just interesting to see, where this technology is used. And here's a picture of OFDM that I was trying to draw out earlier. So you kind of have your main carriers here that you're using to send out data. Another thing I want to talk about is this example provided by MathWorks. So this example, you can actually use the Pluto, here in this is a Simulink model right here is just a simulation of an OFDM system, but you can actually take a look at how you would go about implementing an OFDM receiver and transmitter in MATLAB. And they have this little example where you can send out an image of fruits. Where did they go? Right, so you send out this image of fruits, and the received image appears there once you've got it running. And then you can also take a look at the signal spectrum and play around with some of the parameters here. So one thing to note, once you get started, you'll want to I guess so. Once you have MATLAB opened up, I can walk through this real quick, hopefully. So once MATLAB opens up, you want to change this from a Gaussian noise channel over the air, and make sure that your Pluto's hooked up so that you can actually observe, the transmission from your Pluto and receptive from your Pluto. And so I just thought that was a fun little thing to try out. So going back here into MATLAB, you can see, here it's already set to over the air, but in that online thing, it had the Gaussian noise set. And so one thing to note, when I was playing around with this, I had to bump up the transmitter gain a little bit in order to actually receive the signal. So I think a gain of -10 worked for me. Um, but anyways, that's all that I've got for this week. Thanks for tuning in.